Okay, so we have Yasmin from US, who was one of our mentees and have passed, the PMP exam with above target scores in all domains. So welcome, Yasmin. Welcome to Eduhubspot and welcome to this, this video recording. All our mentees from all across the globe will definitely be able to, know how you went ahead and aced the exam. Even before that, I would like to know, brief about yourself. Where were you before coming to Eduhubspot, and how did you take your, journey forward?
Sure. So, really like many people affected by COVID, I had lost my previous position. I found myself unemployed with a lot of time on my hands and decided that I would try to tackle getting my PMP certification again, since I finally had time to study again, which I hadn't had in a number of years. I did attempt the PMP certification exam in 2019, following taking an online 6-week training course, which I felt was very, very helpful to me. However, I made the mistake of only taking one mock exam 4 days prior to the exam itself. I passed that exam. I believe I scored a 76 or a 77 and took that as a sign that I was prepared for the actual exam. I was not prepared for the actual exam. I did not pass my first attempt. That was quite discouraging. I had made plans to take it a few months later, but at the time that I was preparing to take or retake my exam, COVID hit. So there were other priorities in life, such as securing employment, and PMP took a bit of a backseat. So fast forward to 2021, I have a mutual friend of mine who was taking the Eduhubspot Bootcamp training, and I said, let me try something different, which I did. I found it to be very, very helpful, particularly as a person who has struggled in the past with taking exams. No matter how well I know the material, I tend to be a very anxious test taker. I found that with a lot of repetition, with the video explanations at the end of every single quiz, whether the answer was correct or incorrect, I was able to see why it was that that answer was chosen. And the ability to walk through the explanation for every single question shifted my way of approaching questions on the exam. So I found it very helpful. I also really enjoyed the daily questions on the mobile app. I've actually, come to think of it, loved the app specifically because there were times when I went for a walk or went to run an errand, and I was able to listen to videos. So I didn't have to be physically at my computer for hours on end watching videos. I was able to actually take those with me, listen to them. If it was something I had watched before and just needed to review, but didn't have the time or even the patience to sit for 20 minutes, I could listen to it on the run or watch it on my phone, in the backseat of a car.
That's great. That was really wonderful in terms of, your experience with that app, or even our questions and even the video explanations. But how were, you paced in terms of your preparation? Like, how did your study plan go? And, how was all the help from, all the team from Eduhubspot?
So the way that I approached each one of the homework assignments, so my homework assignments were every 3 to 4 days or so, I would tackle a different chapter. I am a very visual learner. I also need to write things down to remember them.
Right.
So I would watch a video and I would pause it as I was taking very detailed notes. And then any questions that I had following those videos, I would have a Zoom call with you, my mentor, and we would go over any of the questions just to get points of clarification, make sure I understood the materials properly. Then I would take the quiz, or sometimes I would take the quiz and then we would have a Zoom call after to discuss the quiz. So that was sort of part A of my studies. Part B, once I completed all of the videos, was to go through my notes, not through the videos, but through my personal notes, review all of those, see if I had questions, meet with my mentor once again if I had points I need to clarify, and then take my first mock exam. Once I took my first mock exam, I had a better sense of what areas I was excelling in and what areas I still needed to shift my focus on. I feel that very often as students, we tend to review and focus on the things that we've done very well as a way to keep us motivated, as opposed to focusing on areas that we did not do well in, which is what we need to do. So it was very helpful. I only took 3 mock exams because I was very tight on space between my exam date and my mock exam. So I didn't take all 4. I did take 3. And I only had maybe 2 or 3 days between each one of those mock exams. So it was very helpful to go from reviewing, I think, 14 different sections to then saying, okay, you actually have these 3 areas that you need to really hone in on. Reread those chapters. I rewatched a few key videos in areas that I was uncertain about. Meet with my mentor again to make sure I solidified the information that I needed. So that was how I tackled it. I did also take, I had flashcards that I had made up, so I would quiz myself constantly. I would encourage anybody who is preparing for this, who learns with others, is to use other people to quiz you on flashcards. That can be very, very helpful as well.
Yep, absolutely. And having said that, how had the days of live training that impacted your preparation positively?
So the live boot camp was helpful. What I would say is that I came into the program, I believe, 2 weeks before the boot camp started. So we had to change. In my second week, we shifted the materials I was looking on to specifically to Agile, as that was going to be the first thing covered in the boot camp. That was very helpful. It was absolutely imperative that I had read that before attending the boot camp. What I would say is, what would have helped me, what I would recommend to anybody in the future, is that participants in the boot camp, I personally feel, should have at least 50 to 75% of the reading or videos watched prior to the boot camp. The boot camp is very high level. It's very helpful to review materials if you're already familiar with the materials. My experience was that there were a few people in the course, including myself, who had points where we were very, very confused because we hadn't gotten to those points yet. And not being able to go back and review those bootcamp live sessions weeks later when we finally got to those topics was a little bit challenging.
Right. Absolutely. I get your point. So, it was really thorough kind of, coverage of all the help that you got, and definitely the kind of hard work that you did. I certainly recollect, the sessions that we had, and where, you had a set of all the questions collected, and then we went question by question by question. So, it's not only one-way direction. Obviously, our mentorship will always help guide, but then you need to go ahead and do, the hard work behind. So, I saw that kind of enthusiasm and spirit all throughout, from the scratch till the end. Of our preparation, and that's how you made it to success. And I would also particularly highlight in your case, where we stayed very, very close to the timeline, to the study plan. And I remember in between you had to take a small family vacation, but then also you somewhere down the line sat with me, came out with some tips, and you went back to the vacation and carry forwarded those tips whatsoever, came back and said that, so it's okay, let's go on and move to the next homework. I've already gone ahead and done all these things. So so step by step we went forward with all the preparations, and finally all's well that ends well. And that's how everything was. So thanks for all the time that you have gone ahead and taken at your end to have come to Eduhubspot and speak the words, which is very nice of you. Even before you go ahead and close, would you like to share some final thoughts, some comments for all the PMP aspirants, some words of motivation?
Sure. What I will say is, to anyone who is pursuing a PMP exam, whether it's your first attempt, your second or third attempt, the exam is challenging. It's worth it. I think we can all collectively agree that the amount of pride that we will get, or that we get once we have that certification, is something like none other. But I will say, really stick with it. Ask questions. If something doesn't make sense, ask that question 5-10 times. Sumya will attest to the fact that I would ask a question and 3 weeks later still say, I still don't quite understand this, and helped me through that. So ask a lot of questions, study the way that works best for you. Everyone will be different. Whatever works for you, do it. Make sure that you review, and absolutely focus on the mock exams. I don't mean to belittle this, but I actually felt very relaxed when I took the exam. I almost started second guessing myself at a number of points, because I said I shouldn't be answering these questions as quickly as I am. This shouldn't be as smooth sailing. I should be more anxious. And I wasn't. And a lot of that comes from the fact that I took a lot of quizzes. I took a lot of mock exams. Absolutely relax in the 2 days before your exam. It's so hard to do, but it's so necessary. Do the meditations that Sumya recommends, or work out, or just rest. I took myself off of social media for a couple of days. I didn't watch the news for a couple of days, which is very difficult in today's climate. I didn't watch.
There's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, I had a good sleep routine. I had a good, balance between studying and being social or going outside. These things are very, very important. If you find yourself growing stressed, if you find yourself burning the candle at both ends, pause, breathe, know that you are doing everything in your power, and that sometimes a break is a good thing. Sometimes take 1 day off. It'll be worth it, instead of pushing through constantly. And I wish you all the very best of luck, and reach out to me, and Sumya and Varun and the whole team is incredibly encouraging and incredibly helpful. So yeah, best of luck. You got this.
Thank you, Yasmin. That was great. That was great from your end. I wish you all the best in your future, and hope that we'll soon be together in some other course of Eduhubspot, and we'll go ahead and take you forward accordingly. Yeah. So thanks and cheers.